Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, why is attendance so less these days? Any specific reason?
So, like many students are traveling back to the campus, especially here in these
Oh,
days. So, because 20, up till 25th is the last date for coming back to the campus. So, maybe that's why.
okay. Okay, so we will continue from where we stopped in the last lecture. So, in the last lecture, we were looking at how to write this in CNF form. So, the point was every sentence can be written in CNF form, and we will be using this to understand our next inference algorithm. So the resolution inference algorithm will use some properties that we saw in the previous lecture. We saw the deduction theorem, which says that uh, beta entails alpha if and only if B implies alpha is valid. So B implies alpha is a tautology. So if B implies alpha is a tautology, then the models where beta is true must be a subset of the models in which uh, alpha is true, because whenever beta is true, alpha must be true. So the models where beta is true, alpha must also be true, which means the models that satisfy beta must be a subset of the models that satisfy alpha, which is actually the definition of entailment. So this means beta entails alpha. So we will write this in slightly different form. Instead of writing uh, beta implies alpha, we will do the implication elimination and write this as beta entails alpha if and only if not beta or alpha is valid. So this is same as beta implies alpha. We have just used the implication elimination rule that we saw in the previous lecture, and you are already familiar with this. So we can also say that not beta or alpha must be valid. So in the next step, what we are going to do is, instead of saying that not beta or alpha is valid or is a tautology, what we are going to say is the negation of this is a contradiction. So the negation of not beta or alpha should be a contradiction. So we can also say beta entails alpha if and only if beta and not alpha is a contradiction. So basically we have taken this and taken a negation of that, and that should be a contradiction. So there should not be any model that satisfies beta and not alpha, and if this happens, then we can conclude that beta entails alpha. So this last thing is will be the property that the resolution inference algorithm will be using. If this is not clear, you can stop me. So now let us look at this sentence, A or not B and not A or not B and B. So now the first question is this in conjunctive normal form? So conjunctive normal form is we have conjunction of clauses, and each clause is disjunction of literal. So A or not B is a clause because it is disjunction of literals. And the second thing here is also a clause. Now the question is the third thing, is this a clause? So actually this is a special type of clause where we have only one literal. So this is fine. This is also a clause. If we have one literal, then we cannot, there will not be any disjunction. So this sentence is in conjunctive normal form. Now the question is it a contradiction? Is this sentence a contradiction? What do you think?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this sentence is a contradiction.
Because
So
we can, like the first two, we can combine and simplify the sentence to get not B and B.
Right. So the resolution algorithm will be checking for contradiction, as I said above. So the way it will do is that it will first assume that the sentence is satisfiable. So if this sentence in conjunctive normal form is satisfiable, means that each of the clause can be true simultaneously. Under some model, each of the clause that we have in the sentence can be true. So we will assume that the clauses are true and check whether it leads to a contradiction. So it will be more clear as I explain more. So we will assume, or the algorithm will assume, that all the clauses are true and repeatedly apply the resolution rule. So we saw the resolution rule in the last class. If A or not B is true and B or C is true, then we can conclude that A or C is true. This is resolution rule. So the algorithm will take the clauses and repeatedly apply the resolution rule to see if it leads to some contradiction. So the initial assumption is all the clauses are true, and if all the clauses are true, then from the first two clause we have A or not B and not A or not B. So from these two we can conclude that not B is true. So if the first two clauses are true, then we can conclude then that not B must also be true. And we are assuming that all the clauses are true. So if all the clauses are true, not B must be true. And if not B is true, we also have B is true. So if not B and B both are true, that is not possible. So that leads to an empty clause or a box clause. So basically what we are trying to do here is we are assuming that all the clauses are true. And if all the clauses are true, then not B must be true, which is in direct contradiction to the fact that we have assumed that B is true. So this essentially means that our initial assumption that all the clauses can be true simultaneously is false. So all the clauses cannot be true simultaneously, because if they are true, means it is leading to some contradiction where some literal and its negation both must be true. So that is not possible, which means that all the clauses cannot be true at the same time. In other words, this means that there cannot be a model that satisfies this sentence. If there is a model that satisfies this sentence, means all the clauses will be true simultaneously. We have a satisfying model. So if we assume that all the clauses are true, it is leading to contradiction. Therefore, it means that we do not have a model that satisfies this sentence, which in turn means that this sentence is not satisfiable. So if something is not clear, please stop me. So this is how the resolution algorithm will check for contradiction. We will do something called factoring. So essentially, we will not repeat some literals in the resolvent. So when we apply the resolution rule, the conclusion is called resolvent. So in the first example, the conclusion was not B. Actually, not B was present in both the initial clauses, but we have not repeated not B. So we will not repeat the literals that appear in both the clauses that we are resolving. So we will be doing factoring, and we have a ground resolution theorem which says that if we have a set of clauses that are not satisfiable, then the resolution algorithm will always derive a box clause. So here we had a set of clauses that are not satisfiable, and we were able to derive a box clause or an empty clause. Empty clause means a contradiction. So the ground resolution theorem says that whenever we have a set of clauses that cannot be satisfied, the resolution algorithm or the repeated application of resolution will always lead to a box clause. So next, let us see how we can use this idea to come up with an inference algorithm. So we want our algorithm to check whether knowledge base entails alpha, some sentence alpha. This is what we want to check. So what we are going to do is, instead of checking whether knowledge base entails alpha, we are going to check whether no, a sentence which corresponds to knowledge base and not alpha is a contradiction. So now the question is, what do we mean by knowledge base and not alpha? Because knowledge base is itself contains a lot of sentences. So let us say our knowledge base looks something like this. We have several sentences in our knowledge base. In the previous lecture, we saw that we are representing some facts as sentences in our knowledge base. So first, some fact might be there is no pit in cell 11. We saw the Wampus World example. So if there is no pit in cell 11, that is one fact that we know. Another fact could be there is always a breeze in cell 11 if there is a pit in cell 12 or 21. So if there is a pit in adjacent cell, then there is a breeze. So that can be another fact that we want to represent. So all the facts that we want to represent will be in our knowledge base in CNF form. So this is one thing that we will assume. So the first sentence is in CNF form. So when we are adding a sentence in our knowledge base, it corresponds to some fact. So we want to assert that this sentence is true. So when we are putting some sentence in our knowledge base, we want to assert that sentence is true, which means we are trying to say that both these clauses must be true. C1 must be true and C2 must be true. Then only this sentence will be true. Similarly, we may have more sentences in our knowledge base. So let us say another sentence we have is clause C3. So C1, C2, C3 are all clauses, and we are representing sentence in conjunctive normal form. So let us say we have another sentence, C3 and C4 and C5. So when we are asserting that this sentence is true, what we are saying is, again, all the clauses must be, C3 must be true, C4 must be true, and C5 must be true. So essentially, if we have several sentences in our knowledge base, what we are trying to say is all the clauses in the knowledge base must be true. So essentially, that is what we are trying to say. So what we can do is, instead of representing the knowledge base as separate sentences, we can represent the knowledge base as a single sentence, which is simply the conjunction of all the clauses. Because essentially, that is what we are trying to say. We are trying to say that all the clauses are true. So we can as well represent the knowledge base as a conjunction of all the clauses that are present in our knowledge base. So now what will be knowledge base and not alpha? So knowledge base and not alpha is a sentence that we need to construct to check whether knowledge base entails alpha, some sentence alpha. So what we are going to do is, we know all the clauses that correspond to the knowledge base. Next, what we are going to do is, we are going to come up with the CNF form for not alpha. So we are going to take not alpha, so not of what we are trying to check for entailment, and then we are going to find the CNF form of this not alpha. So this might be some C9 and C10 and something. So it might be in some such form. So what we are going to do is, we are going to construct a long sentence which includes the clauses that are present in not alpha and the clauses that are present in the knowledge base. So like this, we can construct a long sentence with several clauses, conjunction of clauses, which correspond to knowledge base and not alpha. Now, all that we need to do is to use the resolution algorithm to check whether this sentence that we have here leads to a contradiction. Basically, whether this sentence will lead to a box clause. If the sentence leads to a contradiction, means knowledge base entails alpha. So that is what we were saying in the previous lecture, right? Or not previous, I mean, here itself we are saying that knowledge base entails alpha if and only if knowledge base and not alpha is a contradiction, which means this sentence must lead to a box clause if knowledge base entails alpha. Do you have any questions? So we will see two examples, two very simple examples to make this more clear. So let us say we have a very simple knowledge base which contains just this fact A and B. And we want to check whether our knowledge base entails B. So now the first question is what are the clauses here? So knowledge base is A and B. So what are the clauses? So actually it turns out that we have two clauses. Each clause has just one literal. So A and B are both clauses, just one literal. And now we need to construct knowledge base and not alpha. Knowledge base and not alpha. So alpha is A. So not alpha will be not A. So knowledge base and not alpha is A and B and not A. Now we need to check whether the resolution algorithm will give a box clause for this simple example. So what are the clauses here? So this is in conjunctive normal form. We have three clauses. Each clause contains just one literal. So the clauses are simply A, B, and not A. These are the three clauses. And we can see that the resolution algorithm will be immediately be able to come up with box clause. A and not A cannot be both true at the same time, which means this sentence is not satisfiable, which in turn means A and B entails A. So this is nothing but the AND rule. So if A and B are true, then we can conclude that A is true. So this, we will see one more simple example. So now let us say that our knowledge base contains A or B. So now what will be knowledge base and not alpha? So knowledge base will be A or B. It is in conjunctive normal form. So now the conjunctive normal form has just one clause which contains two literals. So we have just one clause in our knowledge base, and that one clause contains two literals. So this is in conjunctive normal form. And now we need to add not alpha. So knowledge base and not alpha will be A or B and not A. So this will be our knowledge base and not alpha. Now we need to check whether knowledge base and not alpha is a contradiction. So once again, the resolution algorithm will assume that all the clauses are true. So A or B is true and not A is true. It will repeatedly apply the resolution rule. So here we can apply resolution rule. So A or B will resolve it with not A, and we will get B. So this will be the resolvent. After the algorithm derives B, it will not be able to derive any more clauses. So it tries to apply the resolution rule again, but now it is not able to resolve any more clauses. So the algorithm will terminate. And because we were not able to derive box clause, that means this sentence is not a contradiction. There is some satisfying assignment that we can assign to this these clauses such that the sentence becomes true. So this sentence is not a contradiction. If it were a contradiction, then we would have definitely been able to derive the box clause. So since we are not able to derive the box clause, that means this sentence, knowledge base and not alpha, is not a contradiction. Therefore, we cannot conclude that A or B entails A. So this we cannot conclude. So that we already knew, right? If A or B is true, then we cannot conclude that A must be true. We do not know. So A or B does not entail A. If you have any questions, you may ask. So if something is not clear. Now let us look at how we can apply this for the Wumpus world example. So the Wumpus world, the rules of the Wumpus world says that we do not have a the rules of the Mombas world says that whenever there is a breeze, there must be a pit in the adjacent cell. So the second R2, there will be a breeze in cell 1 1 if there is a pit in cell 2 1 or there is a pit in cell 1 2. So we have a biconditional. There will be a breeze in cell 1 1 if either in cell 2 1 there is a pit or in cell 1 2 there is a pit. Also, our agent in the first time step was able to perceive that there is no breeze in cell 1 1. So this agent is able to perceive. Now the question is, based on just these two information, can the agent conclude that there is no pit in 1 2? So we will use the resolution algorithm. So towards the end of last lecture, we saw how to write this in conjunctive normal form. So this is what we did in the class. So we know that the conjunctive normal form of this R2 has three clauses, which we derived in the last lecture. So it was these three clauses, 1, 2, and 3. So these three clauses correspond to uh, breeze implies pit 2 1 or pit 1 2. One thing that I want to point out is that though I have written this is not in conjunctive normal form, but we will assume that all the sentences that we put in the knowledge base are in conjunctive normal form. So any sentence, any information that we want to put, we will first write it as a equivalent conjunctive normal form, and then only we will add it into our knowledge base. So to check whether knowledge base entails not P12, what we need to check is knowledge base and not alpha. So not P12 is our alpha. So not alpha will be P12. So what we need to check in this case is knowledge base and P12, whether it leads to contradiction. So we have 4 clauses which are already present in the knowledge base. So I have marked it with tick, and let me mark another one with blue tick. So P12 is not alpha, which we are which we add to the set of clauses to check whether we can derive a box clause. So in this particular example, we can see that repeated application of resolution leads to a box clause, which means this sentence is a contradiction, and therefore knowledge base entails not P12. So I hope the resolution algorithm, the idea is clear. Now we will look at the algorithm. If you have any questions, you may ask. So the algorithm is as follows. We will start with all the clauses that are present in knowledge base and not alpha, and we will try to find 2 clauses which we can for which we can use the resolution rule. So we will iterate and for each pair of clause Ci and Cj which are present in clauses, we will check whether we can resolve the 2 clauses. If we can resolve, then we will add the resolvents into a set new. And if we are not able to if the resolvent contains the empty clause. So empty clause is nothing but our box clause. So if we are able to derive the box clause, then we return true. So we are returning true, which means knowledge base entails alpha. So that is what we were trying to check. So if we are able to derive a box clause, then immediately we can conclude that knowledge base entails alpha. Otherwise, we are going to add the resolvents into our set of clauses that we have derived, and we will keep checking whether we are able to derive any new clause. So if in a particular iteration we are not able to derive any new clauses, the clauses that we are deriving were already derived in the previous iteration, then um, Uh, okay, so if we are not able to derive any new clause, means the new set of clauses will be a subset of the clauses that we have in the previous iteration. If we are able to derive new clauses in a particular iteration, then that would mean that new is not a subset of uh, uh, clauses. I'm getting a little, just give me a second, I'll just clarify this. Okay, so I was getting a bit confused. So if so now it is clear. So just please pay attention. So new, if we are not able to derive any new clauses, means new will be a subset of the clauses that we have already derived. If the new clauses is a subset of the clauses that we have already derived, means that we are not able to derive any new clauses, which means knowledge base does not entail alpha. So knowledge base does not entail alpha if in any iteration the new clauses that we have derived uh, is a subset of the clauses that we had derived earlier. So if that happens, in other words, we are not able to derive any new clauses. So if we are not able to derive any new clauses in some iteration and we have not derived the box clause, means that we can return false. That is, knowledge base does not entail alpha. Otherwise, we will simply add the new clauses that we have derived to the set of clauses, and we iterate again. If something is not clear, please, I will repeat. So I hope what I've said is clear. This is clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so now let us look at some properties that we want our inference algorithm to have. So first property is we want any inference algorithm that we come up with to be sound, which basically means that if the inference algorithm derives some sentence alpha, then that sentence must actually be entailed by the knowledge base. So whatever sentence alpha the inference algorithm is able to derive, then that sentence must actually be entailed by the knowledge base. So this property is satisfied by the resolution algorithm because of the deduction theorem. So deduction theorem said that knowledge base entails alpha if and only if knowledge base and not alpha is a contradiction. So knowledge base and not alpha is a contradiction. So what our inference algorithm, the resolution inference algorithm is doing is it is declaring that knowledge base entails alpha whenever it is able to detect that knowledge base and not alpha is a contradiction. So by deduction theorem, every sentence alpha that the resolution algorithm will be able to derive will be actually entailed by the knowledge base. Now the next property that we want our inference algorithm to have is completeness. So completeness says that every sentence alpha which is actually entailed by the knowledge base must be derived by our algorithm. So every sentence alpha which is actually entailed by the knowledge base, our algorithm should be able to derive. So that means if we have some sentence alpha, then we have a corresponding knowledge base and not alpha, which is a contradiction, which must be a contradiction, and our algorithm will be able to detect that this is a contradiction. The reason is the ground resolution theorem. So ground resolution theorem says that whenever we have a set of clauses that that cannot be satisfied, then we will be able to derive a box clause. So by the ground resolution theorem, we can conclude that for every sentence alpha that is actually entailed by the knowledge base, our algorithm will be able to derive a box clause. So basically, there is no sentence for which the algorithm will not be able to detect a contradiction. The algorithm will always be able to detect a contradiction, which means the algorithm is both sound and complete. So now the question is, will this algorithm terminate? So we have a outer loop here and we keep iterating until this happens or we derive a box clause. So now the question is, will this algorithm terminate? So termination is guaranteed by, first thing is that factoring that I mentioned earlier. So we will not have clauses where we keep adding the same literal to the clauses. So factoring ensures that the repeated application of resolution rule does not lead to clauses with repeated literals. So we have clauses where literals do not repeat, and we have a finite number of possible clauses. So the question is, what is the maximum possible number of clauses if we assume factoring? So we have n symbols, and each symbol may appear in with two signs. So it may appear as a positive literal or a negative literal. So we have 2n possible literals, and each of these 2n possible literals may be present in a clause or may not be present in a clause. So that means we have 2 to the power 2n possible literal. So we are also counting the box clause where no literal is present. So if we also count the box clause, we have 2 to the power 2n literals. So basically the number of possible clauses that we can derive it will be finite. So this algorithm will terminate. It will not run forever. So the inference algorithm for propositional logic always terminate. They are decidable, but for first order logic we will see that the problem is not decidable. So we cannot conclude that the algorithms will always terminate. So but for propositional logic, the inference algorithms will always terminate. So the resolution algorithm also will terminate. Okay, so what we have done is the inference problem we have written it as a satisfiability problem. So we have written it as a CNF sentence and we check whether it is satisfiable. So essentially our inference problem has now become our satisfiability problem, which we know is NP complete. So this basically means that we cannot have a polynomial time, or most likely we cannot have a polynomial time algorithm for for our inference algorithm. So now the question is, given that the satisfiability is NP complete, what is the best that we can do? So we will look at the DPLL algorithm, which is basically a variation of backtracking algorithm, which you must have studied at some point. Even if you have not, it is fine. So suppose we have a sentence in conjunctive normal form. Let us say this is our sentence. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to come up with some heuristics. So heuristics are some techniques that work well in practice. It will not work in all the cases because we know that the problem is NP complete. So there will be some cases, or you can construct some cases where you may still have to check 2 to the power n possible assignments to check for satisfiability, but there are some techniques which we will call heuristics which work well in practice. So the idea is similar to backtracking algorithm. So you might have learned in data structures and algorithm the backtracking algorithm for solving the 8 queens problem. So basically you will keep placing the queens on the board, and whenever you cannot place a queen without it being in attacking position with another queen, you will backtrack. You will go one level up and change the position of the queen at the above level. So we will do something similar here. We will have a search tree where at each level we will assign values to one of the symbols. So let us say at level 1 we assign value to symbol A. So we have two possibilities at level 1. So A can be true or A can be false. And let us say at level 2 or at depth 2 we will assign a value to another variable. Let's say we assign value to B. So we have two possibilities under A equal to true. B can be true or B can be false. And so on. So at depth 2, we will be assigning value to the second symbol, which is B. So B again has two possibilities for A is equal to false. So B can be true or B can be false. So this is again B equal to true and B equal to false. So now like this, we will have, if we go till depth n, where n is the number of symbols that we have in this sentence. So if we go till depth n, we will have 2 to the power n leaf nodes. So leaf node number of nodes at depth d is 2 to the power d, and at depth n we will have 2 to the power n leaf nodes, and any path from the root node to a leaf node will correspond to one model. So what is a model? So model is some true or false assignment to all the n variables. So we have n variables or n symbols, and each symbol can take either true or false values. That means we have 2 to the power n possible models, or 2 to the power n possible ways of assigning true or false value to these n variables. And now we can think of this search space. Essentially, this is a search space, and we are trying to search for a model that satisfies our sentence. So this search space we can think of as a tree, where at each level we are assigning value to a particular one of the symbols, and at depth n we would have assigned values to all the n symbols, and we have 2 to the power n leaf nodes at depth n, and each leaf node corresponds to one model. So any path from the root node to a leaf node at depth n will correspond to some assignment being made to all the n variables, or on all the n symbols. So now what the idea here is to prune portions of this search tree. Just like what we did in alpha beta search, we were trying to prune some subtrees so that our algorithm will will run faster. Similarly, we will try to prune this search space so that we don't have to look at all the possibilities. A brute force search might look at all the 2 to the power n possibilities, but we don't want to do that. So suppose our algorithm first assigns a is equal to true. So our algorithm assigns a is equal to true, and then let us say it goes checks the left most node and it assigns b is equal to true. So at this point, what happens is when a is equal to true and b is equal to true, the first clause in our sentence cannot be satisfied. So not A or not B is the first clause in our sentence that we are trying to check for satisfiability. So when we assign A is equal to true and B is equal to true, immediately it is clear that the first clause cannot be satisfied, and the algorithm is trying to come up with a model that satisfies this sentence, which means all the clauses must become true. So if A is equal to true and B is equal to true, the first clause is false, which means we cannot have a satisfying assignment with A is equal to true and B is equal to true. Is somebody asking a question? So when we find, I think somebody has unmuted the mic. So when we find that some clause cannot be satisfied, then what we can do is we can prune the tree at this point. So basically the algorithm will backtrack. So when A is equal to true and B is equal to true, we can see that one of the clauses will not be satisfied. At that point, we don't have to check other possibilities that start with A is equal to true, B is equal to true, which essentially means that we can prune the subtree rooted at A is equal to true and B is equal to true. So what our algorithm will do is whenever it finds that one of the clauses cannot be satisfied, it will backtrack. So now it will no longer try B is equal to true. It will try some other assignment for symbol B. Maybe it will try B is equal to false and so on. So essentially what has happened is it has pruned this portion of the search space. So by doing this repeatedly, the idea here is to prune large portions of this 2 to the power n search space that we have. And our algorithm should run faster. So that is the idea. So we will look at this in more detail. So the algorithm is called DPLL after the inventors. So the input to the algorithm is a sentence in conjunctive normal form, and what we want to output is whether the sentence is satisfiable. We can also output a satisfying assignment. So that a model also we can output if the sentence is satisfiable. So as I was saying, we will be using several heuristics, which are basically techniques that work well in practice. So we will look at three heuristics today. So the first heuristic is basically early termination. So early termination is exactly what I described in the previous slide. So if we find that some clause cannot be satisfied, then we terminate that sequence of assignment and try some other sequence of assignment. It is also possible that at some point, when we assign A is equal to true and B is equal to true, the sentence becomes satisfiable. For example, we may have a sentence where we have not A or C or D and not B. Let me not say not A. Let me say A or C or D and B or E. So we have a sentence A or C or D and B or and B or A. So when we assign A is equal to true and B is equal to true, immediately all the sentences all the clauses become true. So when we assign A is equal to true and B is equal to true, both the clauses are becoming true. So the algorithm will terminate. It need not try and assign values to other symbol, because any value will be a model. So once it finds, as soon as it finds that all the clauses can be satisfied, it will terminate, and the unassigned symbols can be given any value. So that is one heuristic, early termination. The second one is called pure symbol. So let me just explain with one example. So let us say we have a sentence A or not B, and not B or not C, and C or A. So we have an idea called pure symbol. So pure symbol is a symbol that appears in the same with the same sign throughout the sentence. So here A is a pure symbol because A appears as a positive literal throughout the sentence. There is no a negation of A present in the entire sentence. So A is a pure symbol. Similarly, not B is also a pure symbol here because not B appears with the same sign. So wherever it appears throughout the sentence, it appears with a negative sign. So not B is also a pure symbol. Now, suppose we have some model M that satisfies our sentence, the sentence that is given above. So suppose we have a model M that satisfies the sentence, then we can come up with another model M where all the pure symbols are have been made positive. What I mean is, so what do I mean by positive? So uh, so what we're going to do is, so let me just say that again. Suppose we have some model M that satisfies the sentence. What we are going to do is we will construct a new model where all the pure symbols are made true. So for a pure symbol to be made true, we have to assign some value to the corresponding symbol. So A appears as a positive literal throughout. So to make symbol A or the pure symbol A become true, we need to assign A is equal to true. Not B is also a pure symbol, so we want to make not B become true. So to make not B become true, we have to assign false to the to symbol B. So symbol B will take false, so that the pure symbol not B becomes true. So what we are going to do is, we are going to come up with a new model M1 where all the pure symbols have been made true. When we make a pure symbol true, a clause can only become true. A clause cannot become false. What I'm trying to say is, when we make A true and not B true, when we make all the pure symbols become true, a clause can only become true. It cannot become false. So if M was a satisfying model, if M satisfied this sentence that is given above, then M1 will also be a satisfying model, because we have constructed M1 from M by making or by ensuring that all the pure symbols are true. So making pure symbols to become true can only make a clause become true. A clause cannot become false. So if we have some model M where all the pure symbols may not be true actually, right? We may have some satisfying model where all the pure symbols are not true. So what we are saying is, we can always come up with another model where we force all the pure symbols to be true, and that will also be a satisfying model. I hope if something is not clear, please stop me. So what our algorithm is going to do is whenever it finds a pure symbol, it will make it true. As soon as it finds a pure symbol, it will make the pure symbol true. And if even after making all the pure symbols true, the algorithm is not able to come up with a satisfying assignment, means that there was no satisfying assignment to begin with. So the heuristic that the algorithm will be using is whenever it encounters a pure symbol. So in this example, A is a pure symbol. So immediately it will make A is make it true. So even after making A is equal to true, if it is not able to come up with a satisfying assignment, means there was no satisfying assignment in the first place. So some amount of pruning has been achieved, because now we don't have to search the search tree where for other possibilities like A is equal to false, we don't have to search, and B is equal to false also we don't have to search. So we are eliminating some regions of the search space by using this heuristic. Just give me one more minute. I will just make one more point. So it may seem that the pure symbol can be found only at level 0, but pure symbol can also be found after we make a few assignments. For example, suppose we have A or not B, and B or C, and not C or some other literals. So initially, not B is not a pure symbol. Let us say A is a pure symbol. So A is a pure symbol, and we will assign A is equal to true. After we have assigned A is equal to true, we need to now assign values to the remaining unassigned variables in such a way that the remaining clause become true. So in the remaining clauses that have not yet become true, B appears as a pure symbol. So after we have assigned A is equal to true, first clause has become true. So now we don't have to think about the first clause. Now the problem is how to use the remaining unassigned variables so that the remaining clauses can also become true. So now in the remaining clauses, B happens to be a pure symbol. Earlier it was not a pure symbol because not B was also present. But after we assign A is equal to true, we don't have to worry about the first clause, and now we can think of a smaller problem where we are trying to make the remaining clauses become true using the unassigned variables. So when we are trying to do that in this sub problem, B happens to be a pure symbol, so we can make B is equal to true. So the point I'm trying to make is that this detection of pure symbol and assigning value to a pure symbol need not necessarily be done at level 0. It can also be done when we traverse lower down in the tree. So at some node in the tree, which is not a root node, we may find that some symbol has become a pure symbol, and then we will make that symbol true and continue to check whether a satisfying assignment is possible. So we will look at more heuristics, and we will also look at the DPLL algorithm in the next lecture. So I will stop here. If you have any questions, you may ask. Okay, so we'll continue on Wednesday.
But in order to tell that is, so in this we checked for A only in in the first clause, or all the clauses, only the first one, right? As in for telling that A is a pure symbol.
So
we
we checked all the clauses actually. So in the entire sentence, A is appearing as a positive literal. So we concluded that A is a pure symbol, and we assigned A is equal to true.
Right. Okay. So basically, but we still have to go through all the elements, right?
All the clauses.
All the clauses. Huh.
Yeah, that is a good question. So
So I
basically,
mean,
yeah.
time is still, it will still take up time to go through all of them and find out for A and then check, then declare if it is pure or not. And then wherever is there, assign it as true.
Yeah. So what we are going to do is so basically this set of symbols is our input, right? I mean, this all these clauses are given to us as input. So even if we go through the input multiple uh, um, okay, so at each iteration, we don't want to go through. So basically, we will look at some techniques to improve upon this. So we will be using some indexing techniques so that we don't have to go through all the clauses again and again. So we will keep track of what are the possible literals and in which all clauses the literals are appearing. So we have to maintain some efficient indexing, use some indexing techniques to quickly identify those clauses uh, that contain a given literal. So we should be quickly able to tell that which clauses are still not satisfied. Like we will be maintaining some data structures. Details we will not go through. However, what I'm trying to say is for every literal, we will keep track of what are the clauses that contain that literal, and we will also keep track of among those clauses which have already become true or not. So we will have to use some efficient indexing techniques to quickly identify the clauses that a literal is present in. So we should not be able to go through this clauses repeatedly at every node. Um, Other thing is what I was trying to say earlier is this thing itself is input. So if so we are not doing anything. Um, yeah, but that I cannot say. Okay, so we will be essentially using the indexing techniques to address this issue.
Right, sir. Got it. Thank you.